So, what's the real difference between the people who actually go out and achieve their biggest dreams and everyone else? Well, it turns out it's not really about talent or luck. According to the classic book, The Magic of Thinking Big, the secret ingredient is belief. It's the simple but incredibly powerful conviction that you are capable of great things. And today, we're going to break down exactly how you can build that unstoppable mindset step by step. So here's our roadmap for today. We're going to start with the absolute foundation, which is your belief system. Then we'll talk about how to escape that small thinking trap that so many of us fall into. After that, we'll tackle what the book calls excuseitis and fear. From there, it's all about action, attitude, and goals, leading with big ideas, and finally, how to wrap this all up into a daily way of life. Let's dive in. All right, let's start with the bedrock of this whole thing, your belief. Before you can make a plan, before you can take action, you have to genuinely believe that you're capable of doing something great. Now, this isn't just about wishful thinking. Think of it more like the engine that powers everything else you're about to do. I love this quote because it completely flips how we usually think, right? We tend to think, oh, I'll believe in myself after I get the promotion or after I succeed. But the book says, no, that's backward. Success follows belief. Your mind has to believe something is possible first before it will even begin to figure out how to get it done. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Once you truly believe, your brain starts searching for the how. And you can see the direct result of that belief system right here. I mean, it's a stark contrast. A small mindset, it leads you to play it safe, to act small. You find yourself focusing on all the reasons why you can't do something. And what do you get? Small results. But when you flip that switch to a big mindset, your actions become bold, decisive. Your brain automatically starts hunting for solutions, not excuses. And as a result, you start attracting those bigger opportunities. It's simple. Your world on the outside will always reflect the world on your inside. So how do we actually build this belief? It's not magic, it's an active process. 3 steps. First, you got to become a detective of your own thoughts. When you catch yourself thinking, I can't, you immediately have to challenge it with, wait, how can I? That one question completely shifts your brain from shutdown mode to problem-solving mode. Second, visualize success, and I mean really see it. See yourself ace that presentation, cross that finish line. The more detail you can imagine, the more your brain starts to accept it as a future reality. And finally, you gotta act. Even a tiny action. Just one small step that shows you're serious. Okay, so we've got the foundation laid. Now let's move on to our second big idea, escaping the small thinking trap. We all have these invisible walls that hold us back. And the tricky part is, they're walls we built ourselves with our own limited thoughts. It's time to tear them down. This is a huge one. Think about how many times you've heard someone say, well, let's be realistic here. But what does that really mean? Is it based on actual facts, or is it just fear dressed up as being practical? For example, saying it's unrealistic to start a business with no money sounds smart, right? But a big thinker just reframes that. They ask, okay, how can I start a business with the resources I do have? Thinking big isn't about being delusional. It's about refusing to let someone else's definition of reality become your boundary. You know, at the end of the day, the quality of your entire life can really be traced back to the quality of the questions you ask yourself. A small thinker is always asking survival questions like, how can I just get through the week? Or what's the absolute minimum I need to do here? But a big thinker asks possibility questions. What kind of impact could I make here? Or what am I truly capable of? The question you ask literally sets the ceiling for your ambition. So building this mindset isn't going to happen by accident. It's a deliberate practice. It means you have to actively widen your focus beyond just your daily to-do list. It means being really intentional about who you spend your time with, because that energy is contagious. It's also about the words you use, shifting from I hope this works out to I will make this work. And yeah, it means setting goals that are just a little bit scary, because that's where the growth is. All right, let's talk about the villains in our story. Because you can have all the belief and all the big ideas in the world, but if you don't take care of these 2 dream killers,
you're just going to stay stuck. We're talking about what the book calls excusitis, the disease of making excuses, and its partner in crime, fear.
I absolutely love that the author gave this a name, excusitis. It sounds like a real medical condition, right? And that's the point. Once you can name something, you can start to diagnose it and treat it. Excusitis is that little voice in your head that always has a perfectly reasonable alibi for why you shouldn't even bother trying. It's the ultimate excuse for staying put. And here are the most common strains of this so-called disease. You've got the health excuse, I'm just too tired. The age excuse, it's too late for me to start now. The intelligence one, oh, I'm just not smart enough for that. They all sound so logical, don't they? And that's what makes them so sneaky. Because in reality, they're just fear, wearing a really convincing costume to keep you safe in your comfort zone. So what's the cure for all this? For the fear, for the excusitis? It's so simple. It's brilliant. Action. Fear is like a shadow. The longer you stand still and just stare at it, the bigger and darker it gets. But the second you take one single step towards it, it starts to shrink. Just remember that action starves fear, but inaction feeds it. This right here, this is the question you need to weaponize against your own excuses. The very next time you hear that voice in your head saying, I can't do that because, I want you to stop and ask yourself, is that a hard fact or is that just my fear trying to sound logical? I guarantee you, 9 times out of 10, you'll find out it's just fear trying to sound smart. Okay, so we've diagnosed the problem and we've found the cure. Now for section 4, let's talk about the actual tools you're going to use to build this new reality. We're talking about action and attitude. This is where we put that new mindset into practice. This is probably one of the biggest myths out there, that you need to feel confident before you can act. It's exactly the opposite. You'll wait forever if you wait to feel ready. You have to act first, and the confidence comes later. It's built brick by brick with every small, consistent step you take. And just as important, you have to celebrate those little wins along the way. When you acknowledge your own courage, you reinforce the trust you have in yourself to take the next step. I want you to really think about your attitude like it's a magnet. A positive, enthusiastic attitude, it literally pulls good things toward you. It pulls opportunities, helpful people, and creative ideas into your orbit. A negative attitude does the exact opposite. It repels help, it drains your energy, and it makes every tiny problem look like a giant mountain. Seriously, this one little tweak in your language is a total game changer. When you say it can't be done, that's a dead end. Conversation over. It shuts down all creativity. But when you ask, okay, so how can it be done? Well, that's an invitation. It opens the door to innovation and problem solving. It's the difference between being a victim of your situation and being the creator of a solution. Okay, let's shift gears for a minute because success is never a solo mission. Thinking big isn't just about what you can achieve, it's about the impact you have on other people. It's understanding that when you lift other people up, you automatically elevate yourself too. And you can see the difference clear as day right here. Small thinkers, they operate from a place of scarcity. They criticize, they compete, they gossip, because they think success is a limited pie. If you get a slice, that means there's less for them. Big thinkers, they operate from a place of abundance. They encourage and collaborate because they know that helping someone else win doesn't take away from their success. It actually makes the whole pie bigger for everyone. Look, forget about your job title or where you are on the company org chart for a second. True leadership is simply influence. And you are leading every single day in every interaction you have. The only question is, what kind of influence are you having? Is it coming from a place of smallness and fear, or from a place of bigness and possibility? You don't need anyone's permission to start leading today. And that brings us to our final and maybe the most important section, living the big life. How do we actually make all of this stick? How do we turn these cool ideas into a real daily lifestyle and not just some flash of motivation that fades in a week? Look,
A big life isn't built in one giant leap. It's built in the small, daily habits that you stick with over time. It's about what you feed your mind first thing in the morning. It's being super intentional about who's in your circle. It's taking a few minutes every day to reflect on your progress. It's about acting like the person you want to become, even in the small things. And it's having a commitment to always be learning. These are the things that build a remarkable life.
And so, this isn't really the end. It's your beginning. The magic that this book talks about doesn't happen from just listening to this. It happens the second you decide to do something. So my final question is for you. Forget about next week or even tomorrow. What is one small but big action you are going to take today to start living this way?